Good evening and happy Friday. Hey everyone, I'm Darrell Winning, your chief meteorologist at Central Oregon Daily News. And across the high desert, we've had this last round of not just unseasonably warm temperatures, but temperatures that were once again flirting with record highs. Now, we got close to several records. One or two of them did fall, but we're still waiting on some of the final numbers to come in. Either way, we had 70s. Only a few spots struggled to get out of the 60s. And when we look across Central Oregon, there's a whole lot of cloud cover that has been rolling in. All of this is part of a cold front that pushes through the high desert tonight, triggering a big change up in our weather pattern. So buckle up. We're about to do a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. Look at what has been happening across Central Oregon, what changes are expected tonight and this weekend, and how those changes are really going to impact our weather pattern. So today, increasing clouds. So far, it has been dry. And in a couple of these cameras, we do see a little bit of haze. However, when it comes to air quality, we are sitting in the green. Good air quality across Central Oregon. Meanwhile, cameras across the high desert, other cameras, ones that are from ODOT, show some spots where there is a little bit of shadow happening on the ground, especially in Sisters. That's indicative of some in and out clouds. It's also extremely dry. The air the relative humidity as well as roads, because we haven't seen any precipitation except for at government camp. Roads a little wet there, and this is the beginning of a change up that really starts to impact mostly when it comes to temperatures. However, when we look at a couple of these other cameras, what we don't see is much in the way of roadside snow at all, almost. So our snow report shows that we've lost 1 to 3 inches of snow through the Cascades, and when we just look at some of the cameras at the mountain, specifically the Hoodoo cameras, we see very bare grounds. And what we had earlier was with that snow report, it shows us there's only 5 inches where they actually report the snow. Now, when we look at Bachelor, these cameras show a little bit different of a picture. There are some spots that are running a little bit thin. The snow stake is bare, and we have a mixture of sunshine and clouds. So with Bachelor, let me go ahead and kick it back to that snow report. With Bachelor, there's still 38 inches of snow on the ground. Hoodoo, 5 inches. Tonight, no new snow is expected. Saturday's paddle prognosis shows that there's indeed going to be a dip in temperatures, but highs are still going to be well above freezing and mostly in the 40s at elevation. Now, in lower, also notice through the day tomorrow, we are going to be having some clearing. Now, your forecast model shows how this really shapes up, how this plays out, because the forecast model has some clouds rolling into the high desert here through the next couple of hours, and then the sprinkles push through by 7 a.m. Saturday. A few sprinkles left on the map, but we're already starting to see some of that clearing in parts of the high desert, specifically from Sisters to Prineville and up into Madras. That's starting to clear out. Then we are back to sunshine through the latter part of the morning. Notice these white lines that are kind of wavy. Those are your winds, and winds are going to be breezy through the afternoon. So ultimately, we have some sprinkles tonight, a big dip in temperatures, and we're back to sunshine with temperatures near average for this time of the year Saturday. By Sunday, a gradual and subtle warming trend begins, and that just takes us into the 60s, and by next week, we are looking at more clouds. In fact, some of those clouds start to roll in Sunday night, but it's still going to be dry. Satellite and radar does show that we're already starting to get some of the influences from this cold front, but keep in mind with this graphic right here, satellite imagery, you're looking at a blend of visible and infrared satellite imagery. The reason is because as the sun sets, visible is no longer useful, so I throw infrared in there as well, just so we have some cloud cover. Now, further to the north from Salem all the way through Portland and into Washington, there are some showers. Now, this is the same area that has been getting a whole lot of precipitation. And that goes up into Washington as well. But this is also our cold front, so that is going to be rolling through the high desert later. And when we look at the bigger picture, this one just infrared satellite imagery, and I threw an enhancement on it to really pull out those tall clouds. Exhibit A, when you look over Idaho, tall clouds. You can see the brighter colors of red. Over Montana, a couple cells developing, but that's not coming anywhere near us. I just use that as an example of why you would want to see some taller clouds. That means here across Central Oregon, we mostly have a mixture of sunshine and clouds, but there's no precipitation. Remember, that precipitation is from Newport all the way up through Yakima. And here in Central Oregon, we're just bone dry again. But when we look at the bigger picture, we see a couple of things. First, The system that's been bringing those clouds into Washington and that precipitation is an atmospheric river. It is a pineapple express. And over central Oregon and pretty much the west coast from the Intermountain West and Four Corners region all the way up into Bend, we're still partially under the influence of this ridge of high pressure. Outside of Oregon, that high pressure is still doing its thing. But for central Oregon, it's a little bit different. We've started to see more clouds. What's happening is this high pressure is starting to flatten. You should consider high pressure a dome of high pressure over an area, and when it starts to flatten, it moves south, it's starting to weaken, and that's what we're getting at right now. Now, currently there's still no precipitation, but that super dry air mass that was overhead is further to the south. We have some clouds. Those clouds have a little bit inhibited the warming trend for today. Yet this time yesterday I had highs in the mid to upper 70s. I think it was mostly mid 70s today, and that dip in temperatures is mostly because of the cloud cover that's been rolling in. In fact, let's go ahead. I will get back to high temperatures. Right now, it's still dry. If we were in the summer, we could even call this critically dry. We only have 22% humidity, all the way up to 40% humidity. So in some locations, we have moderate humidity, but for many of us, where you see that red, it is still dry. Now, we haven't gotten some of the final numbers in, but here's a look at those high temperatures in the last 24 hours, 70s with a few 80s. That put us close to breaking some records. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. And we're still waiting on some numbers to come in. But on the right are your record high temperatures, and it looks like Bend broke a record, Madras broke a record, and that's about it right now. But we're going to continue to keep an eye on that, check in with it here through the next several hours. But our temperatures at the moment, as of 5 o'clock, are sitting in the 70s with 66 in Sun River and 68 degrees in Sisters. That represents a change in temperatures. It was actually a little bit of a dip in temperatures, slightly cooler, between 1 and 6 degrees below what it was just 24 hours ago, but still unseasonably warm. The average high temperature is 56 degrees. Today, we were in the mid to upper 70s, and so that's still 20 plus degrees above average for this time of the year in some locations. Now, by tomorrow, we see that shift in our weather pattern. It's going to be significantly cooler. We're looking at seasonable temperatures, highs back in the 50s. And with the seasonable air mass over the area, you might be thinking, hey, that's just in time. We're supposed to be in spring. Well, it's not going to last for too much longer. Now, you are correct. Today was the vernal equinox. The spring equinox was at 7:46 a.m. So we are officially in spring right now. Now, through the next couple of days, we are going to feel like it. And then by next week, further into the 60s, a little above average for this time of the year, and then another system rolls through the region. So Saturday, seasonal. We're looking at highs in the 50s, a few 60s are possible. By Sunday, 50s and 60s. Notice that gradual warm-up. Still under tons of sunshine. Some late clouds are possible. By Monday, more clouds. Dry. And that gradual warming trend is not over yet. Highs further into the 60s. So best chance of precipitation between now and through the end of our weekend is tonight. That's where we have some of those sprinkles working through the high desert. And we'll look at those numbers a little closer in just a little bit. Let's talk about this warming trend well into the 60s by Tuesday. Then showers start to roll in through Tuesday. By Tuesday night, a little bit of mountain snow. By Wednesday, back down to near average for this time of the year. Notice a trend? Yeah. We have those roller coaster temperatures that this time of the year is known for. Because remember, spring is a transitional season. So we're going to be starting to warm up, feeling very nice, and then a cold front pushes through and we dip back down. Unfortunately, we just don't have any snow associated with tonight's cold front. But Tuesday and Wednesday's cold front, that could bring another shift. So here through tonight, some sprinkles at best. Back to sunshine Saturday, keeping that sunshine Sunday until late in the day. By the evening, we start to see a few more high-level clouds roll in. That's part of a warm front that's going to be dry. Then by Tuesday, we start to see some showers. Those scattered showers are going to be working through the high desert. We're going to take a closer look at this and really focus on that system rolling through. So back it up. This is the GFS, a long-range forecast model. It's not as high as resolution as the one we were just looking at, but it really helps paint a picture of what's coming down the pipe. Now, here through Tuesday, some showers are expected by Tuesday night. Snow levels start to fall. We begin to get mountain snow before we get into early Wednesday morning, and then some snow showers are going to be possible in our lower elevations. Let's rewind that. Let's do that again. Let's get a little further in there. So the cold front is pushing through Tuesday. We're looking at some showers. By Tuesday night, some mountain snow, and then a few flurries in our lower elevations before we really start to clear out later on Thursday. And so through Wednesday, we're still looking at partly cloudy with some wintry mix in our lower elevations, but after that, we're back to more sunshine, and by Friday, a few more clouds. Another weak system rolls in, but it's going to be similar to tonight's, not bringing much in the way of impacts. So in the next 24 hours, a couple of sprinkles. The mountains really absorb the majority of the precipitation that comes in with this next system. And between now and 7 a.m. Friday, so through the entire 7-day planner except for Friday, we're looking at more mountain snow, rain in the lower elevations, but it's not even going to be significant mountain snow. We're looking at maybe up to 6 inches in the highest elevations. But meanwhile, look at this. Wind gusts at the moment are between 15 and 25 miles per hour, coming out of the west, a little bit out of the northwest, depending on where you're at. That puts actual wind speeds between 10 and 15 miles per hour, still coming out of the west. But here through the next couple of hours, we haven't seen this in a while. We're actually going to get a decent drop in wind speeds coming back down to a very gentle breeze. And by tomorrow, breezy at times. By Sunday, breezy at times. But Sunday's winds don't come until late in the day when that warm front starts to approach the area. So for tonight, expect 40s with a few 30s on the map and some sprinkles across Central Oregon. By Saturday, we're looking at 50s with a few 60s possible. By the 7-day planner really shows that Saturday is still going to be breezy. By Monday, Sunday and Monday, we begin to see a warming trend take shape that brings us to about 10 degrees above average for this time of the year. By Tuesday and Wednesday, that next system brings some showers, some mountain snow, gusty winds, and another cool down, knocking us back down to where we should be for this time of the year, near seasonable conditions Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday of next week. So notice we have those roller coaster temperatures. There are a couple systems that are going to be rolling through. Each system brings its own set of changes. Winds get gusty at times, and there is a chance for some mountain snow by the middle of next week. So your weather headlines for this Friday, March the 20th include a weak cold front tonight, sprinkles, but big cooling expected Saturday, followed by a gradual warming trend that really takes shape Sunday and Monday. And as of right now, we have the clouds, pockets of in and out cover, but no precipitation in sight just yet. It's going to hold off until tonight. That's when we see our next chance of a few sprinkles. But then even going past the 7-day planner from next weekend through that following week, we're still going to be above average for this time of the year and not much in the way of precipitation. Now, we really need the precipitation because when we look at just the last 30 days, we are very dry. For this time of the year, we have not received much in the way of precipitation. That's only adding on to the near to below normal precipitation that we've had across the high desert. So one more quick recap. A weak front tonight does bring some sprinkles. There just aren't any on radar as of right now. That's the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News. We'll have the latest headlines and your most reliable forecast. See you then.